Thank you. I'm going to call the June 4th meeting of the Virginia Passenger Rail Authority Board of Directors to order. Before we get into the safety briefing, I just want to very quickly say thank you to DJ, to Mike McLaughlin, and to Jennifer Bonnets for the wonderful tour that we got yesterday afternoon. It's one thing to sit on this board and talk about the work that this organization is doing. It's a whole other thing to be out there and see it in person, see the complexity, be able to feel it. I've had the privilege of doing that many times, but it's good to be out there. I encourage you to take Rich up on his offer of spending some time with VRE to do the same thing. There's nothing like seeing Long Bridge from half a car on VRE.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys. It was a great day yesterday. Enjoyed everybody's company yesterday evening. It's nice for us to get to spend a little extra time together. And so with that, I'm going to ask Mr. Bates, can you give us our safety briefing today?
That's right, Madam Chair, Executive Director, members of the board. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. We are located at 1725 Duke Street in the first floor conference room. There's a single person restroom. If you exit the door, turn to your left. A single person restroom to your left. Also, there's a first aid, actually, I moved first aid kit on the table there. It's listed in the restroom, it's on the table. Primary 911 caller of Mike McLaughlin, secondary, Steve Pitter. CPR primary, myself, secondary, Joan Robotics. Meeting with first responders, primary, Mary Estelle Douglas, secondary, Michael Westerman. We need the AED, I'll call Matt Jack for that if you need so. I mentioned the first aid kit. There's a fire alarm and fire extinguisher in the main lobby. As soon as you exit these doors here, the exit to the main lobby, there's a fire extinguisher and fire alarm there. Evacuation, we have two exits. You have an exit here, also out the main lobby. We will evacuate at the King Gardens Park. It's right beside the bench, right in front of the Hilton Hotel. And also ensure that the person to your left and your right is there. There's the evacuate here. If you see something, say something. Please report it. There's an active shooter. Please speak, hide, or fight. Fight is the right. Also, remote participation. Beware of phishing emails and scams. Know your medical emergency and evacuation strategies. If you have any questions? All right. Let's have a safe day.
Thank you. All right, next item on our agenda is public comment. We received one written public comment from Mr. Derry regarding the septic station, and all of the board members should have a copy of that written public comment. And then we have one person signed up to provide public comment for us today. As a reminder, public comment is limited to 3 minutes. Mr. Cavallis, it's a pleasure to see you, and it's good to see you. Well, we all rode the train up here instead of the
Yes, right.
Thank you for joining us.
Well, good morning, everyone. Again, I'm Jay Corvallis. I'm with JBG Smith. We're a large property owner in National Landing, right nearby here. I'm also the co-chair of National Landing Business Improvement District Transportation Committee and a board member of Virginia for High-Speed Rail. I'm here on behalf of all those organizations to welcome you all to Northern Virginia and to, again, discuss the importance of your work to our region. First, if you're unfamiliar with National Landing, we're about 2 miles away from here, or 2 metro stops north of today's meeting. We're Virginia's largest walkable downtown with 12 million square feet of office space, over 22,000 residents. We're located in Arlington and Alexandria, and are the home of Amazon's HQ2, whose first phase of Metropolitan Park opened last year, and Virginia Tech's Innovations Campus, which is expected to open in early 2025. National Landing's success is rooted in its robust multimodal transportation network, which is set to grow thanks to transforming rail in Virginia. Specifically, Long Bridge and the Fourth Track project will enable significantly expanded VRE service. And per a recent MOU with VPRA and Maryland's Department of Transportation, the extension of marked commuter trains across the river to National Landing. Perhaps most importantly, it will also enable Amtrak service to Crystal City for the first time. In anticipation, JBG Smith is working with Amtrak and VRE on plans for their new Crystal City station, which will include a passenger waiting facility in an existing JBG building on Crystal Drive. Together with the planned pedestrian bridge to National Airport being advanced by Arlington County, this will create the nation's near air to rail hub, putting residents across the Commonwealth within a one-seat ride of the nearly 400 daily flights available. Collectively, these improvements will allow employers like Amazon, Tech, Boeing, and others to recruit top talent from across the region with direct transit access. It will also help Northern Virginia continue to attract leading employers and institutions to help grow our economy. In summary, the work the VPRA is doing to expand passenger rail service has significant benefits to national landing in the greater Northern Virginia region. We appreciate the authority's attention to our region, including by hosting this meeting here today. Finally, I hope you'll all consider returning to the region on September 13th when Virginians for High-Speed Rail will host a 30th anniversary luncheon at the National Landing Experience Center. The event will celebrate the tremendous progress in passenger rail over the past 2 decades in the Commonwealth and will feature Amtrak CEO Steve Gardner, Senator Mark Warner.
Thank you. If there's one item, Mary Estelle, could you please call the roll? I know you have some attendees online as well.
Ms. Boga? Here. Ms. Bushton?
Here.
Mr. Cardwell? Mr. Dalton?
Here.
Mr. Delandro?
Here.
Ms. Dorsch? Here. Ms. Drake?
Here.
Mr. Hall? Mr. Maestri?
Here.
Ms. Moses Smith?
Here.
Mr. Payne? Ms. Reinhardt? Mr. Spore?
Here.
Mr. Watkins?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Estelle. Very good.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
You get total credit.
Multifaceted, I'm so different, so hopefully it'll warm up in here a little bit. Next item on our agenda today is approval of our meeting minutes. We actually have two sets of minutes before you for approval. So we'll start with the minutes from the January 23rd meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
Approval.
Sorry.
Can I ask a question? The new ones that I've seen, I thought they need to be just reread. It's sort of really awkward language that just looked like something got left in there. And I also wonder, DJ, because we had a really good conversation yesterday, at what point you want to have a discussion as to how we do handle the minutes. Because one of the things that's left out of that paragraph was my comment about we should be involved in legislation and we should know that it's coming. We could also be a help in helping you get it through because of our context. So that's not in there. I mean, I'm not going to vote against the minutes, but I just want to make a comment that there's different things we still are working.
So we have a motion from Ms. Bulova. I thought I heard a second, but I didn't catch you. So we can have that dialogue, that discussion.
Okay, I'm just going to abstain.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other feedback or?
Oh, man, I think we had a good conversation
We
yesterday.
did.
Thank you for both night.
Hearing no further discussion, Mary Estelle, would you call?
Ms. Boga?
Aye.
Ms. Bushton?
Aye.
Mr. Cardwell? Mr. Delandro?
Aye.
Ms. Dorsch?
Aye.
Ms. Drake?
Abstain.
Mr. Hall? Ms. Moses Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Spore?
Aye.
Mr. Watkins?
Yeah. Aye.
Thank you.
All right, so we have another 7 minutes before us. Those are the minutes from our May 23rd meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Bullock, second by Ms. Drake. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, Mary Estelle, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Boga? Aye. Ms. Bushton?
Aye.
Mr. Delandro?
Aye.
Ms. Dorsch? Aye. Ms. Drake?
Aye.
Ms. Moses Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Spore?
Aye.
Mr. Watkins?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Mr. Stadler, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see everyone. And I second the thanks to Mike McLaughlin and the team that put together the tour yesterday. We sit here and we go through the PowerPoints, we see pictures, but until you're actually out there seeing the tracks and seeing the tight space between the two existing bridges where we're going to put that bridge. It's, I think it's a good thing to get out there. So I'm going to go through the monthly executive director's report as we've done in the past. When the board meeting is early in the month, we always send the executive director's report out late in the month. So this will be an abbreviated version. This is all April data. We won't have May data for a couple more weeks. I do intend to, the last week of June, as I always do, send out the monthly report that gives the full May data. So I'm just going to go through some high level things from last month's report. I encourage you if you have any questions or looking for any clarification, please let me know. The first page is just some updates. The board chair and I participated in the RVA 757 Road Committee Roundtable earlier in May and had a good discussion with the folks from that region about projects that are ongoing and how rail really has a strong impact on not only the Hampton Roads 757 region, but also the whole state. Shortly after that, we participated with our good friends at VPRA in the Money to Work Day on May 17th. To continue to engage the community. Any opportunity we have to get out to the community, we spend time talking about the projects. We spend time letting people know that we are doing a lot of good things to improve capacity. But as we do that, folks that are riding the train are likely going to see some schedule changes and perhaps some delays, and that's something that we manage as we move forward. We want to make sure that with progress comes a little bit of commotion. And as you've all heard me say from day one, no surprises. If it's going to impact the bridges that we saw yesterday, King Commonwealth, from rail traffic, from automobile traffic, we want to make sure that folks know that ahead of time and they're not surprised. And then finally, on May 21st, we attended Rich Dalton's ceremony, the Fredericksburg Station Rehabilitation Project, station near and dear to my heart because I left that station every morning at 5 a.m. for about 20 years. And I got home every evening. It was frustrating to me that I had to walk all the way east to go back to where I parked on the west. Rich, thank you very much. I know it had nothing to do with me, but that stairwell on the west side stays about 5 minutes off of its afternoon commute, so I appreciate that. So we were there for that good event. A lot more ribbon cuttings to come. Organizational updates, we've leveled out pretty much. Our staff level is right about 56. We've got 4 current postings, and you see the hiring activity from May there. Here's the chart that we give every month just about our diversity by age and by gender and by race. Pretty consistent. We feel pretty good about our outreach activities to encourage we get a good mix of talent around the table in all of our different departments. Update on our annual incentive plan goals. I'm not going to go through these one by one because they haven't really changed much from last month. Everything is pretty much complete with the exception of the first item is ridership. We still have a couple months left. Ridership is on a really good pace. We're far ahead of where we expect it to be. We continue to prove if you build it, people will show up. Cost recovery is really close to our goal. Our goal was 67% cost recovery, and we are at 67% right now. We're waiting for the last couple months to see if we beat that. Managing that is a combination of working with Amtrak to manage their costs, working with our marketing team, with Amtrak's marketing team to boost ridership and to optimize the revenue that we get when people ride the train. Obviously, if we sell all the tickets for $1, the train will be packed, but the revenue will be poor. So finding that sweet spot is important. And then also managing our own costs, because our administrative costs are also in that denominator. So we're really close to where we had hoped to be. A couple months left, and we're watching close. Other than that, the only miss was the one we've talked about a couple times, the fourth track project. We made a business decision to not select the contractor in May because the early works work was going on. We could have selected the contractor early, but that contractor would have just been on board and getting minimal pay to wait for their work to start. So we said that's a bad business decision, even though it makes us miss one of our goals. From day one, we have been clear we're not going to make bad business decisions to meet these goals. We're in the process now of starting to define next year's goals, the FY25 AIP goals, and we will present those to the board at the August. Any questions about the AIP goals? All right, supplier diversity is also a good news story here, just for everybody's education, are, again, the definitions of all of the different types of small business, DVE, SWAM. It's complex because there are different levels, and many businesses fall into 1, 2, or even 3 categories, but we're very methodical in how we give business credit. You all have met John Cosnick before, and I challenge you to find someone more passionate about getting diverse, local, small vendors into the mix. And Mary Still will tell you, Mary Still does a lot of the small purchases for the office. For her to purchase from anybody but a SWAN takes an act of God. We are very passionate about making sure that we get the money we are entrusted to the right needs. And so that's a little bit of the definitions. Our goal this year is 10% on discretionary expenditures. Through the first 3 quarters, we are almost at 16%, so we are above goal. And when we go to Mr. Cosnick and say, hey, look at this, we're almost 60% above goal, he says, not good enough. So he's a hard man to please, so I'm glad I'm not married. So there's our diversity spending update. Any questions about our SWAN for small business? We're all kidding aside, we're very proud of it.
Have any comment? Chair at the appropriate time, I'd like to bring forward my resolution on respect to SWAN DVDs. Thank you. So I appreciate the update, Mr. Director. Colleagues, as you may recall, last meeting I approached the issue of a resolution with respect to SWAN DVDs. It was not my intention to slightly miss the window for proper vetting and socialization, but having now done that, having had an opportunity for staff to take a look at it and provide input as well, I'd like to bring it back. You may recall the genesis of my sort of motivation here is that you may recall that unlike FTA, FAA, and FHWA, FRA is not subject to the federal umbrella, DD federal umbrella. Do I have any concerns as just articulated by the distinguished executive director about our team's mission and commitment to the DBE, small business community? No, I do not. However, do I think that as a board, we should be on record, particularly given the vast sums of federal investment that are coming into the Commonwealth, that we make a proactive, positive statement with respect to this community? Yes, I do. It's my understanding that FRA, in speaking with my former colleague, Bose, who's head of FRA, that they are moving in a direction to come online in compatibility with respect to their mobile peers. But I just think it is the right thing for us to do, just given all of the coordinated initiatives that we are taking. We are hitting 1,000% on all cylinders. I think that this would be another step in that direction to show to the country that we are consistent. We are serious about becoming a model for the nation with respect to all things, with respect to contracting, engineering, et cetera, with respect to advanced passenger development across the country. So having a yield there for any questions or any input from the staff as they have now had an opportunity to review and digest. I think it's a rather straightforward resolution. Could have went harder, but I think just given the dynamicism that's being exhibited by this team, I thought it important.
All right, Mr. Hall, just for the clarity of the record, you emailed a copy of your resolution to
That's
that last week, so everybody should have
correct.
that language. So are you in your resolution?
I apologize, Madam Chair. Yeah, I move that we adopt the SWAN DB resolution as offered by myself.
Motion by Mr. Hall.
Can we have a discussion? I'd
We
like to
do
know
that
what.
after we move.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. Now let's open for discussion.
My question was, I'd like to hear from staff. What does that mean differently? I mean, we just heard from DJ how well you're doing things. So I don't know, is there additional audits, state level, federal level? What are we asking to do? I mean, it sounds like we have a really good track record, and it sounds like there's not a problem that you're trying to fix. You said FRA is going to be acting in the future.
Right, I think, and I appreciate the gentleman's question. I think it's less so of we're doing things right, more so making an affirmative statement that this is a priority for us as a board. And that's with respect to what we're asking to do. I mean, it's captured in the whereas clauses, but I do not view it as anything administratively burdened or outside of the scope of which the executive director is already there.
Extra audits, I mean, I don't know. You just asked.
Right. But all full disclosure, I've been at DBE for 14 years, I'm not currently, I have been. So I support the program, but I felt like the resolution is a hammer looking for a nail. I do think that because of that resolution, that DJ will feel that he will need to hire a DBE, a DBE auditor. I think that particularly looking at some of the contractors that we have hired to do work for VPRA, they're very much aware of the DBE requirements, and they're actually excellent at ensuring that the DBE requirements are withheld. They know how to do it. They know the process. They know how to leverage the DBEs. I think as VPRA advances, and if we ever get into the purchasing of rolling stock or being a part of a rolling stock purchase, DBE is very, very difficult for rolling stock manufacturers to attain. They do, but it's very, very, very difficult. I think that what we currently have, I think it works. It seems like VPR staff understands the importance of DBEs and SWAMs. I was a SWAM as well. So I just really don't understand the purpose of the resolution, except I do think it may require down the road for DJ to have to hire his own auditor to do the audits. And I just don't think that's necessary. The feds do the audits. I'm not so familiar with the SWAM auditing. I don't know how Virginia handles it, but I do know the feds do. So, yeah, I just don't think it's an issue. So I will be voting against the resolution.
Any other comments or questions?
Madam Chairman, I would just ask staff if they feel that this motion would require the hiring of staff or
So currently, what we do is we have our in-house procurement staff as part of their work, keep track of what we're doing and what our contractors are doing on DBEs. Given the volume that we have now, I don't need it with extra resource. But I don't know.
stuff. And it's essentially, it looks like the motion would call for a report or a presentation in August, at our August meeting, so that, we focus on, this and have a chance to hear back. Although I think we regularly get reports every month. Yeah, every month. But this would, I think it puts the word on the record as this, to say that this is a priority. And it names at least 1 month in particular, for there to be a report. And that's not to say that we continue to get regular updates and regular reports. So I think it's a fine motion. And I think that also it's some of the whereases make it clear that, we're applying, with federal government in collaboration with the federal government and, that do this in ways that are feasible and reasonable. So I think it's a fine motion.
And if I may, I agree with everything Ms. Boga has said. I also think that, you both mentioned that DJ has been very intentional. And we know that is his principle. We expect him to be around for a long time. However, should leadership change, business priorities change, even though there is a requirement to comply, there are instances where people decide, I'm gonna see if I can skirt that process and take the risk. I think this not only puts the board on notice, but it sets the standard for if someone other than DJ is in this position. That's my sentiment.
Yeah, somebody mentioned August. What happens in August? There's another discussion later this year.
The resolution asks for is that we come back in August and so we set a new goal every year.
Oh, okay, it's about the goal.
Okay.
Just for the avoidance of doubt, this resolution says we report in August. That wouldn't stop these slides being in everyone's. Because it's most instance, it's that to buses. That's the power of our mind. You never know.
I think it's an important matter of public policy, state or authorities. It's not a burden to say. It's.
I want to speak in favor of this because I think what I value here is that I think we're doing some of the biggest rail projects in the country. They're absolutely enormous, right? And so a lot of times they draw from contractors that pull from the entire East Coast. And what I like about this is it's a way to make sure that some of these jobs are local jobs, right? And stay with the people of Virginia. People in this area should benefit from the projects that are funded here, especially since there's a lot of Virginia taxpayer dollars. So, I know that under federal law, it's very, very difficult to do a local hire provision. And I'm not saying we should even do anything like that. But to me, this is a way to see communities around here can benefit from projects that we're doing.
I'm a little concerned about only one part of this, and that is I remember back about 8 years ago, there was a lot of debate in Assembly with regards to the extension of Metro and specialization that had to be obtained in those contracts. And we therefore had to, Joyce, would you say, back off some criteria that we had put in for employers or contractors for state projects because of the specialization. And, as I looked at the projects yesterday, you've got a couple of areas where specialization is to be paramount. Now, I don't have a problem with TVs, I don't have a problem with SLAM. But I think we need to be careful that we don't drive the cost of some of these projects up because exactly what you're talking about. And making contractors go to the local community. I'm not worried about the local community. I'm worried about contractors to do the job, do it right, and at a reasonable price. Because we're going to be paying, and citizens count on them, but they don't government paying.
Well, the resolution states where feasible, so I think at least that gives us a bit of an out for the concerns that you raised. If it's not feasible,
Who's going to concern that?
well, I think the standards that you just roughly, loosely laid
You are
out,
on
because there will be the consideration, but.
Oh, should we put in some cost differential language in there? Should we cost differential fire like that with that?
Like I said, I worry about the specialization piece of it, because we had to back off from Dick Sasslaw. And I got into a grand discussion about this very thing. And he was worried that if we weren't careful, we would drive the cost of the Metro going out to Dulles and further west, out of sight and unavoidable, on board. And so we made alterations to it, particularly the contract specialized. So I'm not wanting to vote against something like this. What I'm saying is I may have drawn it so tight that we're going to raise the cost of doing what we think we want to do.
So, Senator, I appreciate that. And I was for this to be as flexible as possible. With respect to specificity, absolutely, certainly not trying to push a star block down a circular, a square peg down a circular opening. Yeah, if you will. I don't interpret this as forcing the hand of the executive director and staff by any means. Now, had I gone into NAICS codes and drilled down to that level of specificity, then I think that yes, maybe then that would warrant a broader conversation. But to be honest with you, Senator, I view this more so as a proactive policy statement that we view this as a priority, and that's it. I don't see that it forces the deviation of the executive director or staff in any particular ratio or any deviation from what they are already on.
Is there a word, I'm looking for a way to capture the concern, Senator Watkins?
I would say change the word feasible to reasonable.
Or feasible and reasonable. So if that's a motion to amend the main motion, I would second that.
Do you wish to make that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so amendment is moved by Mr. Watkins, seconded by Ms. Fuller, so now we have a vote on the revision. Yes.
Or a vote on amendment.
Amended
That's the
motion.
amendment.
The amended motion, right? You just made amendment to the original motion.
We need to adopt the motion.
I was going to say, we never adopted the original motion.
Oh, that's correct.
So we need to adopt the amendment
Right.
and
Very
then
good.
take up the original, and then take up the final version.
Right.
Yeah, first,
Yeah.
so on the amendment. Then we go.
And that's where I was headed, but. All right, so Mary Estelle, can you call, any further discussion on the amendment?
I think it's reasonable.
And I want to thank my colleague for the
All right, so Mary Estelle, can you call the roll?
Ms. Bullock,
Aye.
Ms. Luciu,
Nay.
Mr. Cardwell, Mr. Delandro,
Aye.
Ms. George. Aye. Ms. Drake. Aye. Mr. Hall,
Aye.
Ms. Moses Ned.
Aye.
Mr. Payne,
Aye.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Aye.
Mr. Ford,
Aye.
Mr. Watkins.
Aye.
All right, so the amendment motion carries. So now we have the amended version on the table.
The motion has to be.
Do that again.
Supposed to be better.
All right. This is the first time we've done this. Okay, so we now have an amended motion. Do we have our amended resolution on the table? Do we have a motion? Or are we doing the whole?
Yeah, call the roll.
Okay,
But that was for the amendment.
just are we now?
Fine.
So we're gonna do the final. We have
So we had a main motion. We then just
we have the amendment.
vote on that.
Right.
So now we have to vote on the whole thing.
Main
So
motion.
now we're
As
back to the main.
As
And
amended.
as amended.
All
Distinguished Madam Chair, Supervisor, who's taking care of this. All right.
Parliamentarian.
Yes, parliamentarian chair.
There's a lot I don't know. Stuff I.
All right, Mary Stella, you go. Baby, okay,
I'll call the roll.
all right.
Ms. Bullock,
Aye.
Ms. Luciu,
Nay.
Mr. Cardwell, Mr. Delandro,
Aye.
Ms. George. Aye. Ms. Drake. No. Mr. Hall,
Aye.
Ms. Moses Ned,
Aye.
Mr. Payne,
Aye.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Aye.
Mr. Ford,
Aye.
Mr. Watkins.
Aye.
All right, so the motion carries. All right, so I believe we're back to you. Heather?
routine operating procedure contracting updates. The one update we have in the month of May is I emailed the folks, we signed the Amtrak operating agreements, 209 agreement. Jeremy Latimer is going to be here today. I double checked again. And he's going to walk us through what 209 really is. The Safer Sea Group, the state Amtrak Nursing Passenger Rail Committee has been working on new rates for Amtrak to charge states for operating costs. This just notifies you, and then again, we sent by email that we signed the operating agreement for FY24. And then the only budget adjustment, this is the first budget adjustment we made this year. We moved $180,000 capital projects to cover the cost of design for the Richmond layovers. This will get us to 30% design, which then will come back to the board. All right, passenger service updates. This continues to be good news. Here is the chart showing through April our operating revenue and our operating and other operating expenses. Revenue's in pretty good shape. We're doing pretty well, although it's not rising as much as ridership. Talked about it in the last meeting. First few months of this year, we had to work with Amtrak because they put a revenue system in place that was not operating as well as we would have liked, but they have been good partners and they've tweaked it. We feel like the last 2 months results have been much better. See on the chart here, the same 67% cost recovery that we will watch for the last couple months of this year. Here's an update of our administrative budget for FY24 through April. All the categories are in pretty good shape. We've got variances across the board. This is one that Mr. Bitter and I talked about. The whole finance team, if you're too far over or too far down, being off by 10% one way or the other is still off. And we're like, as tight as possible. This year, not working very well. Cost recovery trend shows the history. It was slightly above 70 for COVID, and then it dipped during COVID, and now we've got it back up to about 67%. We're working through the FY25 budget that you'll hear about later today, and through that process, we'll be setting our cost recovery goals for next year. Ridership continues to do well. For every month over the last couple of years, we have set a new record with the exception of December. December 2023 was the 1 month that we didn't set a new record. April, though, we were almost 10% more in April 2024 than it were in April 2023. Good friends, I believe, are leading the charge on that. So that is also a strong route. It's a route that had almost 45,000 riders. Any questions on ridership or administrative? Project updates. Here's the capital project spending chart. This is the same chart that we sent out last week. I just wanted to go into detail. Here's the Western Rail. A couple projects I wanted to focus on. So here's Long Bridge. We talked about at the meeting in May. We have awarded our contract, as you all know, and we are in the middle of negotiations with the consultant as they move quickly from 30% design forward to 60% design. Expect 60% design, I believe, sometime next week. This is the case, and we will have an update for you all perhaps before the August board meeting, but likely at the August board meeting. That continues to go well. We were out there yesterday, saw some of the works, work going on, and that continues to progress, and we're still on path for that to 30. The South package procurement, that process is ongoing. We had all the meetings with those potential candidates last week, and we expect to come to this board in December with a recommendation on South package. Then South package 1 is the package that we discussed is a little less complex, so that's why the North package is ahead. Both projects.
So DJ, on that slower than anticipated spend outs, yet we're not concerned about the schedule yet?
That's correct. Here are just some pictures, and actually you saw some of this yesterday, some of the field activities that are going on specifically for the North package, a lot of the geotechnical work, trees, I guess a lot of trees were felled, a lot of tree work is continuing on. Drainage is going to be a big deal, and John Carney's watching, and he wants to make sure that I bring up utilities, because anytime you put utilities, agreements between utilities and railroads are incredibly different. And they're different utilities. So we have gotten smart on very quickly and do it.
And this is Skanska Flatiron.
As you see there, we had the FRA come out, and one of the things that we work very hard to do is keep our strong partnership with the FRA, is talk about they granted us $729 million to fully fund the second phase of all our projects, and fill the gap that we had as 30% design. They had a whole team of folks out in May to tour the projects, as you all saw yesterday, and it's big persons. So that's been place to team. Very close call. Alexander Fourth Track's another project you saw yesterday. We did get the 100% plans back in December, and we have begun work on the duct bank, which is utilities, moving fiber optics. That work is taking place now, and it's taking place now. We're watching that closely as we work with Southern and CSX to ensure that the property rights there are accurate. Done, continues on schedule. As we talked about during the AIP goals, CSX has not yet selected that contract to do the actual work that will take place later this year.
DJ, I see where you brought up FRA staff. That was very smart. What was their reaction to the project? Did they?
It was very similar to your reaction.
Okay, good.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've read about this, but wow.
Oh, good.
And look, they are great partners, and it took a while to schedule that tour, but they were thankful for it, and I'm confident they'll get it.
Great idea. Great idea. It's good.
No surprise. Okay, here's the bypass update. The bypass is similar to Long Bridge North. We are in negotiations with the contractor, Flatiron Herzog, and those designs continue on to forward. We're doing geotechnical work there as well. All of the trees were cleared as you rode the train up. We found both sides of the road with the trees cleared. So it's exciting to see things go from design, which, no offense to the planners of the world, isn't all that exciting. But to actually see these huge machines out there. Where's Matt? It's a good call.
Cut you off.
And then here's some pictures from bypass. On the bottom, you see the boring samples. Those are good. We're happy with those. That you may recall when we were here in January, we showed you boring samples of the Merrimack column. Those were not good. Those were like dust. So when we got these samples back, we were pleased with these. That's good. Any questions in the project updates? All right, and then revenue and investment is pretty much straightforward, but I just wanted to include it just in case folks had questions. Here is the trend of our Commonwealth Rail Fund receipts. It's less than what we had last year, but what we expected, and we're on track to meet what we're going to get. Steve Pittard and the team work very closely with our friends at VDOT and in the administration to ensure that on the theme that there are no surprises. Grant funding status here, the grants that we've received. As you all know, we got $100 million grant for bypass, and we've got $729 million grant that fully funded phase 2. We have 3 prison grants that are outstanding. See the dollar amounts there, and those are the 3 projects. One of the things that is very important to me personally, and it's probably taken us a little long to address, is the fact that lift stations within Commonwealth that are not accessible, that don't meet the ADA guidelines. ADA, as I think most folks know, was passed in 1990. In fact, that we're in 2024, and lift stations not applying is, in my opinion, an absolute embarrassment. We have took us a while, I'll take the full lead on that, to get a plan in place to get our stations into compliance. There are a lot of complexities with the stations. County will own a parking lot, city will own a sidewalk, railroad own a platform, and so it's really convoluted. That's no excuse. The fact that we have people that want to take the train that cannot get to the train from our stations is unacceptable. So this is the start of many, many more projects you will see on Virginia stations, who owns them, to make sure they get into the system. Because that one of the reasons people take the train is because they don't feel comfortable in the constricted space of the airplane. In fact, we don't have compliance in it. We just have to fix it. So that's what some of these American Press requests progression to do. All right. Those are all open for you. And 1 minute over time, but please my report. Any questions for me?
That's quick.
Or does someone online have a question? Just real quick. CDS funding for 2024, awarded amount open, we should know or not know by now, wasn't that bill enacted? We
Oh,
get that
yeah, that's
funding?
right. Yeah, that's sorry. We got the $1 million.
Okay,
Mike, that's correct, right?
Right.
We have,
Okay.
that didn't say,
Alright.
it just said $1 million.
okay.
Other questions?
All these projects, as I went through yesterday, 30% or greater in terms of design.
Yes, the ones that we went through yesterday, 30% design or greater. We still, some of the sidings in phase 2 are not at 30%. In fact, one of the sidings in phase 1 is not yet at 30%, but the ones we looked at yesterday are all at 30%.
The Christie grants, so do you know when they're gonna be awarded, or
Say that
the
again.
Christie grants, do you know when they'll be awarded? Do you have a timeline, or
Probably right after Labor Day would be our guess.
on Labor Day,
We don't know.
By the end of the year,
by the end of the year?
yeah. the
The
5 meeting
applications
on-
just went in.
Oh, the application, I was just gonna
The
say,
applications just went in within the last week.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
So by the end of the year, we're not exactly sure the month, but
Is it possible to get all 3?
possible, sure.
Yeah, actually,
I mean, really? Yeah,
it is.
good.
All right. Other questions?
Just because the need is there, you know?
That's the first.
So-
Any other questions? Go ahead, Mike.
Just want to clarify side conversations. There will be another large grant opportunity, Fed State Partnership, coming out. No pro notice funding opportunity should be out in the next few months. That won't be determined until the new year. So this is the major grant opportunity. The Christie grant is for this calendar year. There's another one coming, so we have some other advice. Yeah.
I think they're pushing hard to get some answers before the final person. Not sure what. Any other questions for me?
There was somebody, I think, on the phone
Okay.
previously.
Was there a question on the phone?
Just,
I heard this already.
Okay.
All right, so thank you, DJ. Our next item on the agenda is FOIA changes, results of the General Assembly session and revisiting our remote participation policy.
Yes, so for those of you who have been here since the beginning, we've been in existence for right about 4 years, and this is our third remote participation policy. Why are we doing a third policy in 4 years? The law keeps changing. There were a few minor changes this year in FOIA laws allowing for remote participation, which is when what we're doing today. Most of us are gathered here, but some folks are individually participating remotely. And also a different thing, which is all virtual meetings, which are meetings where we decide nobody's gathered physically together. We need to do all electronic meetings. SB 737 was the primary bill that made some changes. So what are the changes to the policy that came out of this year's laws? Number one, if you're a person with a disability or you're a caregiver for a person with a disability, even if you're participating remotely, you can count toward the quorum that must be assembled physically. A new law, the second bullet here, and the change of the law was our policy cannot restrict remote or all virtual participants from voting on the matter. So if you're participating remotely or we have an all virtual meeting, the person participating remotely can still vote. We did not need to change our policy on this point because our policy already does not prohibit remote participants from counting toward vote on resolutions. Third bullet, if you're participating remotely, it's really important you keep your camera on, or at least it's important if you would like to be counted for the forum. So if you're in the category of a caregiver for a person with a disability, you're participating remotely, you want to count toward the forum, so you have an efficient meeting, you need to keep the audio visual connect. Voluntarily turn it off and no longer. The cap, there previously was a 25% cap for all virtual meetings in a year. That increased to 50%, so we can have half of our meetings or subcommittee meetings virtual, all virtual. And then here's the reason we're Talking today, the policy must be readopted by the public body every year. So we'll do this once a year, we'll talk about the changes in the law and we'll readopt the policy. So with that, there was a resolution, draft resolution in the board package, with some red lines to the policy, reflecting the changes to the law that I just described. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Weston?
That just means they're gonna change it every year.
Yeah.
We change every year, for a while.
Good comment.
All right.
All right.
Ready to move on to motion
I was
then.
gonna say, we have an action before us, and that is the first annual adoption of the remote participation policy. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, Hall.
Motion by Mr. Watkins, seconded by Mr. Hall. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mary Selfish, please call the roll.
Ms. Gilligan? Aye. Ms. Bushu?
Approved.
Mr. Carvo? Mr. Delandro?
Approve.
Ms. Dorsch?
Aye.
Ms. Drake?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moses Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Payne?
Aye.
Ms. Reinhardt?
Aye.
Mr. Score?
Aye.
Mr. Watkins?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item on our agenda is an update on the Potomac Shores. We'll go back to that.
Thank you very much. We came to this board in December to have a conversation about the Potomac Shores project. There's a VPRA station going in there, and we have been working with VPRA and the developer to help them get the station done. We were here in December, and I just wanted to come back and give an update. No action required. We're not at a place where we're making a deal with them yet. But given some of the feedback we got from the board, we just want to have a conversation about what's taken place over the last 5 months and update folks, just no surprises. So just some background, you see Potomac Shores is a development that is on a VPRA line right between Ripon and Quantico. It is a development with quite a few single family and townhouses that would benefit greatly from an additional transportation form. There, anywhere near there, the traffic is substantial. And they have been working there on a VPRA station for a very long time. We were approached last year to talk about how we could assist with the building of that station. What happens there, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, there's a big hill and they've got a lot of soil that needs to be moved out of there. And the developer, it's just a lot, it's a big effort for the developer, it's a lot of money for the developer. So what is being proposed is the developer can move all of that soil to another piece of railroad land, but only to railroad land. Because it's railroad dirt, and if it stays on railroad land, then it's much easier to dispose of. We had this conversation with the board in December, and there were a lot of concerns about risk, rightfully so. And we've gone back, and I think we've got a plan to address some of that. So the plan is that the developer currently owns a piece of land that's called Cockpit Point. And they want to donate / give about 5 acres, 4.5 acres, 5 acres of that to us. And that is contiguous to our right of way. So it would be right along what we're buying from CSX. And we would just add 4.5 acres of land to our portfolio of land. Then, once we own it, it becomes a railroad land. And the developer would pay to move the dirt from the current station location where it needs to be moved to the railroad land that we would now own. So I'm going to walk through a little bit about that. If you look at this map, the proposed VPRA stations where the VPRA sign is, the land that the developer owns is down on the bottom, and you see the little inset that's drawn. They actually own that whole peninsula, or most of that peninsula there. They have decided at this point not to develop that, so they're proposing to give us one little piece that is highlighted there. As you can see, it's right along our right of way. That piece of land used to be a dump, used to be a landfill. And so there are concerns about what is there. The developer has worked with the Virginia DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality. They had to do a lot of work there, a lot of testing there. They put a cap there, which is a couple feet of fill, that it ensures or assures that it is clean. So They report with DEQ. They have a high level of confidence that the land there is acceptable, doesn't have any unmanageable risk. So if you look here, what's going to happen is that there's the station. The developer wants to move about 51,000 cubic yards to our site, the site that would be ours if we accept it. If any contaminated material is found before they move the soil, we stop work. And then there's got to be some remediation, and if there can't be remediation, then the soil will never come to us. Concerns, because we're accepting land, but we're proposing to accept land that used to be a dump, and we want to make sure that we're not taking on liability unnecessarily, well, really not about unnecessarily. So what we've done is we work with DEQ, and we would not accept the land unless we had a certificate of completion. And Mr. Westerman, if I misspeak here, you noticed that incorrectly. There are the covenants that are in place. We can use groundwater. We have the school there. We have no intent of doing any of those things. It would just be an open land similar to our right of way, right along the track. We would not accept this unless DEQ determines there's no unacceptable risk, which they have so far. They would provide us immunity from any enforcement action on this gift parcel. And if there's any unknown risk that's discovered, they would revoke that. But before we accepted this, we would make sure with them, with the developer, that this cockpit point is clean and safe. So we're getting more and more comfortable about the gift parcel. What we're not comfortable with yet, that we've been working on, is the soil that comes from the station site to our gift parcel. But what we've worked with the developer on it is we said, look, you need to take some of this risk. What we're contemplating now, and we've continued to go back and forth, is to have the developer purchase an environmental insurance policy. So we would be doing inspections before they move the dirt. So as they start to move dirt on the station site, it would be inspected. We would make sure that it's clean. If we saw anything bad, we would stop work, and then they'd have to take a different path. But assuming everything's okay, it would move to our plot of land, and then the developer would purchase an insurance policy that would protect us if anything strange happened after it was moved. So we feel like that puts extra protection in place. I'll be very honest, as we all know, the devil's in the details. We don't have the details of that policy yet. We have gone to the developer and said, here are the things that we need, and they've been receptive. So between now and the August board meeting, we'll work with them and see what that policy looks like. I agree with the sentiment of the board that we got in December. We can't afford to take on any unnecessary risk. The station is a great thing for VPRA. It's a great thing for Virginia. It's really a great thing for multimodal passenger rail, because as you've all heard me say before, we don't care what train people get on. We just want to make sure that they have a train to get on. So it's another place for all of the residents in the area to stop. We are strongly supportive of it. We're also strongly supportive of not taking on any unnecessary risk on our side. We feel like we're getting to a place where that risk is mitigated. So next steps, and this is again pretty quick because there's not a ton of news to report, but the developer has been good. We've gone back and forth with them a few times, and they're really open to purchasing this environmental policy. We've got to understand the details surrounding that policy, and we're working with them on that. We hope to come to an understanding of what that policy looks like, and also to the land transfer agreement that would say here are the conditions under which we transfer that land. Be able to have all of those things finalized by August, then come back to the board in August. We hope to make it final. So that is where we are on Potomac Shores. No action required, but because we talked about it in December, I didn't want 5-6 months to go on with silence with folks asking questions, hey, what's going on?
I have a question just listening to all of this and hearing it before. So isn't the developer required to build the station regardless? As part of his proffer in doing this 2,000 acres of homes or whatever he's doing?
The developer made a commitment to deliver the station.
So that's in place. Regardless of what happens with this land, he's building the station.
The developer made a commitment to build the station. Whether or not they can back out, I'm not sure.
Okay, so you don't know the details on that. Because I'm questioning why we would want to own 4.5 to 5 acres of land that apparently is undevelopable for, what I read, it can't even be a playground. So it's a pretty serious piece of land if it can't even be a playground. So the advantage, if I've got this right, is this land means nothing to him. He could do nothing with it. But it gives him a cheaper way to move the dirt. I mean, why doesn't he move the dirt, sell the dirt, do whatever with the dirt? I don't know why we would want to own this extra land unless you've got a use for it down the road.
It really doesn't do anything for us. It's just contiguous to our right of way.
That's my question, because I know even when we did north of Train, we gave that extra land to Petersburg. We didn't want to own any land and be responsible for it or mow it, or, it sounds like you're just gonna make a mountain.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a mountain, but we're just gonna pile dirt on it, yes.
And it will be a mound, and it's also, is this a former Superfund site or not? Does it have that designation?
That I can't answer. Do you know, Michael?
I don't think it has a designation.
If you could confirm that too, whether it was ever, because I think it was like owned by DC or something like that, and they put ash, whatever they put there, so we don't even know what they put there. I don't know, whether potash, potash, from there.
The good news is whatever they put there is underneath a lot of clean fill.
I know, but they change the environmental laws all the time. And then they come up and say, we've got to do something to mitigate this, because isn't it very close to the water?
It is right, by the way. It is not on the water, but it's close to water.
Very close to the water. So I have a lot of concerns.
We
about
want
Exactly. It seems like a self-inflicted wound, right? Why are we taking this on? We're taking this on as a favor to the developer, right? Right, I appreciate that. We are open for business. We're here to help, right? Is there a way, because I share every concern that Thelma has on this, right? And is there a way we can be helpful to them without taking on potentially significant undefinable liability? I understand how for all these insurance policies that make sense and everything, but this seems like a self-inflicted wound, and you have a great strategy to mitigate it too. Oh, it's just a flesh wound. But why are we going in there? Why are we doing this to ourselves to begin with? But I guess the most important question for me is internally, in terms of VPRA's decision-making protocol. If this is your decision to make independent of the boards, I'm not going to substitute my judgment for yours. So is this a decision for you to make?
My understanding is it is my decision to make. But for me to make it against the advice of the board, I don't think it's a great idea.
Well said.
This man is on a roll.
Facts are right.
And there are other ways to be helpful. I mean, these been beautiful property, beautiful golf course, it's all in there, but I was looking into this too. He's already been warned twice by DEQ. I didn't penalize once by DEQ for discharge into the river, right? We don't need to take that on, right? I mean, is this something that VRE could have taken on? It's a VRE route, but VRE's board chose not to? Why would we have this pocket of land along the VRE?
So I think the difference is that VRE doesn't own the land there. So if VRE were to take that as a gift, it wouldn't be railroad land because it's not contiguous to, we own the right of way. It's actual, the right of way. So us getting it as a gift, it's contiguous to our land. Now, CSX could have taken it because CSX owns it now. And when we take title, then it comes ours. But CSX, they had talked about taking it, I believe, and then they said, well, wait a second, if VPRA is going to own it eventually, let's just wait and let it carry it. So.
sounds awful suspicious.
They could, if they could own it.
Well, no, because it would be contiguous, it's contiguous to our right of way. So we haven't transferred title. We're still finishing the survey work, which is taking place as we speak. We will be in a position to take title of the right of way that was part of the bigger deal sometime in the next few months. And then as we take title, then this plot of land becomes contiguous to our right.
I have a question, I think for Michael. It's my understanding that the party that originally owned the property and put the contaminants on that in the landfill cannot walk away from that liability. That always stays with them. Can you research that?
Well, you're right. Prior owners have liability as do current owners. So they're all, as do current, they're all in the same boat under those very draconian federal laws.
Joined it, so.
So make the case again. Why don't we do this?
We would do this, we're proposing to do this because it would be a way to quickly get the VPRA station there and to add passenger rail capacity in a incredibly congested area of Virginia, right along our.
How is one conditioned on the other? How is the VRE station development conditioned on us accepting ownership of this lot?
Well, it just makes that station development go more quickly. And right now, and you have to speak to the developer, but I think the station itself is at risk because the developer didn't realize how expensive it would be to deal with the dirt. And I don't want to speak to the developer, but I'm not sure that they have enough.
Could we help them with the development of the VRE station before we help them with taking on ownership of this former dump? Would that be a way? It seems more like.
The only way that I could think of is financially, just to help them out with money. I'm rich, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't. We talked about it a little bit, and there aren't a whole lot of other options other than just throwing money.
Was the development of the station a condition of the zoning?
Michael,
Is that in the land use plan?
We've heard that it's improper to the county. It's not something that we.
That's their problem.
Yeah,
That's their problem, then.
Yeah, it's,
It shouldn't be ours.
can you confirm that this is a condition? I mean, he's developing, what, 1,900 acres with homes?
Wow.
So, yeah, so I don't know why he would try to turn this over to us.
I can tell you what.
yeah, it's,
Well, I know.
is it in the developer's best interest? Is it their interest to have the stations? It's our interest too,
Well,
but
it's our interest too,
but
but.
the
it's a condition
developer,
of-
yeah.
No.
It's a condition of the zoning,
Yes,
so
yeah.
they can't get final approval and final occupancies
That's
of everything in there until they do everything they're supposed to do.
That's a good point.
So what's the other option of moving this dirt? I mean, the issue I don't think is the parcel. I think the issue is the dirt, which you don't know yet what's in the dirt. But what's their other options to pay to move the dirt? They're going to pay you to move it to your side, to pay us to move it to our side if we do this. What's the difference of moving it somewhere else?
Is them giving us this site would give them a piece of railroad property to move the dirt that's very close. If this site isn't available through us or through any place, they would have to move it to a different railroad site.
Right, yeah.
And there's not one
But-
that's close.
Oh, but it has to go to a railroad site?
The easiest way for them to move it is
Easiest
to
way.
take it to a railroad site, because if you're going to move it to a non-railroad site, there are environmental requirements that a lot of testing needs to be done, a lot of work needs to be done to ensure that it can be moved to a non-railroad site.
I'm a Patty. I just don't see why we would put Virginia in that risk position. But anyway.
I think there's some unanswered questions.
So again, this is good feedback, and as we continue to talk with the developer about potential solutions to getting the station built, if it would be possible, it's continue to have conversations and we'll update you on this.
There's no action required.
Can I just add a positive thought? It could be a great opportunity to put solar on it and generates electricity.
Back to our conversation.
Let's sell it to Dominion Power and let them worry about it.
That's not-
Look, they're having to dismantle enough landfills right now.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm not sure if the footprint's big enough. It's 4.5 acres. Usually those solar, the solar fields, you've got to have 50 to 80, 90. That's what I've been seeing. I don't know. 4.5 is significant enough.
Maybe just
Good.
generate
Good.
a
Yeah.
conversation.
So I was going to ask, so what could it be used for? So that gets to our conversation right now. So what could the property be used for? So not a playground, but I get, say we get it and we put grass on it. What else could it be used for? So why don't they kind of explore that a little bit? Maybe there is something that it could be done that would be beneficial either to us or to, the environment or something.
Is it 401 basis? I'm sorry. We own it. Is it out to somebody else?
We have that opportunity, it's ours to do it what we want, yes, who's subject to the environmental requirements.
There's no access, there's no real access to it. Anything other.
It's not
Be there.
as built down, I mean, there's a road, but that's it.
Right.
And eventually, the developer talked about the piece that's closer to the water, putting a marina there. And then it would be kind of a park, like, you can walk through it, you just can't put kids' playground there. But it doesn't have a lot of use to us, that's absolutely correct. We could have, that is a good question, we could look at other uses, something else. We'll continue to work and research and come up with the right solution for Virginia.
So, and then in the meantime, they can't do anything till this gets resolved.
They have been working on the parking garage that is adjacent to the station. And that work, I believe, will be complete sometime very, very soon. But they've got the design that has moved forward. I believe the next step is starting to excavation work and getting ready to start.
So I haven't seen a picture of this, but apparently there's a big mound of dirt right where they want to put the station.
So there's the parking garage right there. That is,
Okay.
So let me go back. So this is what it used to look like. So this is facing east towards the water, and where that land you see there goes down to track level and then comes back up, and you can't really see the track there. On the bottom left of that picture, you see some of the residential development. And then if we go back, here's looking north. This is the construction status of, as of last week, of the parking garage. So to your right, going down, that's where the track is, and there's a big drop down. This is the top floor of a multi-floor parking garage. So that's the soil that needs to be excavated is right on the other side of that. Right there. So yes, it was a big hill, and now it's a parking garage that sits inside of it.
That was the only spot they could have put the station. I mean, it just seems like a lot of trouble to move all that dirt when you've got the whole run of 4.5 acres.
Through that whole area near that residential development, the
It's
track is
all
pretty
over.
much all. Yes.
Okay. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's.
I'm just, okay, but you're gonna work on it.
So the next item on our agenda is for us to go into closed session. So I have a motion to go into closed session.
I am glad to move that the board convene in a closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A3 for the discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose or of the disposition of publicly held real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. So
So a motion by Ms. Boulevard, do I have a second? Ms. Watkins. Ms. Boulevard,
aye.
Ms. Bushu,
Aye.
Mr. Corzo, Mr. Demonto,
Aye.
Ms. Dorsch,
Aye.
Ms. Drake,
Aye.
Mr. Hall, Ms. Moses Ned,
Aye.
Mr. Kane,
Aye.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Aye.
Mr. Spore,
Aye.
Mr. Watkins.
Aye.
All right, so the motion carries, and so the board will move into a closed session.